The problem isn't the minimum wage. The problem is the cost of living mismanaged by those people who control the resources in order to benefit themselves and not all of society. A microcosm example of this can be found in the worship songs found in churches. During the 90s and aughties in particular, and even still today, most worship songs that were not written prior to the late 20th century had to be licensed every year from the corporations who controlled their copyrights. This could be hundreds of dollars per year for maybe 10 to 15 songs, sometimes thousands. The churches could not legally perform the songs during a service without paying the licensing fees to the corporations. If they wanted to keep using those songs, they had to keep paying the license fees. Over time, in order to increase their revenue streams, these corporations increased the fees, sometimes as much as 2 or 3 times what they originally had been. For smaller churches, this could mean they couldn't afford a youth pastor, or the money they might have used for some charitable works had to go towards paying those fees. For example, How Great Is Our God by Chris Tomlin made millions for its controlling company, just so these churches could sing a familiar praise song, a familiar liturgy, if you will, every Sunday. It has only been lately when this stranglehold has started to be broken by churches returning to the ancient hymnals, writing the worship songs themselves, or using songs which are made available freely to everyone. All things which send the controlling corporations into panic and lawsuit mode. When the resources needed to live are gatekept by a very few whose only motivation is profit for themselves, this is when real scarcity occurs. On a world like ours, in a country like the United States in particular, there really shouldn't be any scarcity of either food, housing, or the basic necessities of life. Almost all scarcity of the things needed for living is artificially manufactured in nature, but is artificially manufactured by nature, by human beings, hoarding those resources in order to make themselves more powerful and others powerless. This is not what or how we were created to be on a world teeming with anything and everything we as human beings actually need to live. Tribes in the rainforests and grassplains know this truth all too well. I can think of a number of tribes in Africa where their egalitarian societies function on everyone working for the benefit of the whole clan, village, or tribe. In many such societies, hoarding resources is seen as evil, or even as sickness. Consider that. Consider that's the way we should be seeing it, and not something to aspire to. I can think of, there were some anthropologists one time. They were in one of those tribes, and they attempted to encourage competition among children within one of those tribes. And what had happened was they gave some kind of a sweet cake as a reward for a competition. And only the one kid was supposed to get the sweet cake. Well, now what they thought would happen was what would happen normally in Western society, where each kid would fight basically and do their best to be the only one who gets the cake. That's not what happened. In this particular instance, all of those kids worked together so that no one kid would win the cake, but so that they would all share it. Because that's their culture. That's how they were raised. Western society in particular, and the way that we have arranged or ordered our own culture encourages people to compete. It encourages people to, instead of working together, and it encourages people to basically be afraid of not having enough. But when you're afraid of not having enough, then you hoard. Then you treasure things up because so that somebody else doesn't have enough. And that is not what we were created to be. But it is because of that fear. It is because of that fear of not having enough, or that fear, in some cases, of the other person having more, that we manufacture scarcity. In a world where scarcity, there really shouldn't be any.